if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. There's no use in getting all puffed up about these little exclusive games that come out, and they're timed exclusives or console launch exclusives or whatever they may be. I feel like people really kind of run away with these things and kind of use them for list wars. And even though I'm back on Team Xbox, I still think it's silly. And I think it's silly to do it no matter what. I thought it was silly to do it 7 years ago. Like, people don't realize this about me, but the list wars didn't get invented by Xbox people. Back when I was originally a huge Xbox One fan and playing the games and enjoying the games, and and we were talking about the games on BGST, you had like a group of PlayStation fans that were listing off just these ridiculous games that were like most of them indie and most of them small AA games, kind of like what the Xbox fans were doing for the past year and a half. And again, that's fine. I'm not going to fault anybody for that. But, I've always said those indies, those AA games, those are realistically more for something along the lines of icing on the cake as opposed to a reason to own the platform altogether. And that's not to say that AAAs are the only thing out there. Obviously, there's going to be games that are going to appeal to people for a wide variety of reasons. But yeah, it's just very interesting to see how that kind of come about and things like that. So yeah, very interesting to say the least. And I got to say, this is going to be one of those videos where people are probably going to think, oh, does he hate Xbox? Or no, I'm just saying, again, Xbox is losing one, but it's not a big deal at all. But this is going to be a video you don't want to miss. Hey there, everyone. I'm the Crapgamer, and this, of course, is Crapgamer Reviews, your home for gaming news, opinions, reviews, and, of course, much more. You'll probably notice some cool changes around here. Hopefully that doesn't stop you from giving us a like and possibly consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your free time with me and my silly, as always, YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot. You guys have been simply amazing. Now, when it comes down to it, let's just be honest here. A lot of people like to do these list wars. I'm not going to say for a fact who or what have you, but I will say that there's a good number of gamers out there who love to do that, and the whole console war and all this kind of stuff. For me personally, I don't look at it as something that I really care about. Like, I think these list wars are all kind of lame, to be honest with you, especially with some of the games that end up in the list wars. And this is one of the ones that I saw at the time being listed a lot that didn't make a lot of sense because it looked not very good at all. So 12 Minutes is a game. It's a time looping adventure, first released in August for Xbox. After releasing on August 19th for Xbox Series X and S, 12 Minutes will be coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch, and there's a new trailer that has been released, highlighting critical praise from various publications. I'm going to link this and you guys can check it out for sure. 12 Minutes is the story of a husband voiced by James McAvoy who returns home to his apartment one day and has dinner with his wife, played by Daisy Ridley. However, it's interrupted by a strange man, William Dafoe, claiming to be a cop who says that the wife killed her father several years ago. After being strangled, the husband finds himself at the beginning of the loop, entering his apartment once more and greeting his wife. From there, it's a process of figuring out how to break the loop, which can result in some interesting consequences, like trying to take the intruder by surprise. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of details and stuff like that. This was a game, it has very big stars attached to it for an indie game in terms of that, and I'm definitely not knocking that, but for me personally, I just find it to be not a very appealing game. And to be honest with you, I just think that that's something that clearly is going to, to probably turn off some gamers in one way or another. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who's interested in this. And for me personally, again, I think that it's something that obviously I'm going to talk about. I haven't played it. I have no interest. I watched a little bit on it, and I saw obviously some people talk about it and things like that. But still, at the same time, I just felt like, for me personally, it's not a type of game that I would enjoy. And, just replaying the same thing over and over again is probably one of the reasons why I'm not exactly a fan of, these roguelikes and roguelites or whatever you want to call them. I just find them to be kind of tedious, and anytime you're putting in your time, I don't feel like you should have to start over. I mean, that's probably one of my biggest things with like the Souls games, is much more than the difficulty, because there can be difficult games where you're fighting a boss, the boss beats you, but then you're right back there fighting the boss again, right? Like that is something that I could get next to, whereas opposed to it, this doesn't really fill me with that same kind of lore or anything like that. So it is a very strange, different type of circumstance. But yeah, again, 12 minutes was a game that a lot of people hyped up. Yeah, it's going to come to PlayStation. Ascent's going to come to PlayStation. I think there's a lot of games that go back and forth, and they always end up going back to to the other console, and that's just just silly to kind of list these type of games. If you are going to get into a thing where, oh, you don't get to play this or we get to play this, I think it's always best, to be honest with you, to keep that with keep that with a situation where it's first party usually, or something like that, right? Like, it's silly to do it the other way, because otherwise you end up a few months later or whatever looking kind of foolish. Because I can remember a lot of people really capping hard for the Medium, and I remember saying, this company has never done an Xbox exclusive. They put games out on Xbox first, but then they always come months later onto PlayStation as well. So again, that's how it is with these smaller developers, and I think people are finally starting to understand that. It doesn't matter. This isn't a knock on PlayStation guys, this isn't a knock on Xbox guys, but this stuff just happens. Anytime there's like these launch exclusives or these little indie exclusives or whatever, they do eventually end up everywhere. And I've stated this a million times before as to why. They're small developers, people. They're just very small developers, and small developers can only work on something for so long. They can usually only work on one thing at a time. So when we see that happen, and we see these small developers kind of come out and do their thing, it's not really that much of a shock to me personally that they can only accomplish so much with their first version of their game or whatever. So yeah, very interesting to see that happen. If you are interested in it, it's like Death's Door, all that stuff. Like, I remember I did a video to that. I said, hey, this game's going to come to PlayStation because the developers had said, well, right now we're focused on this, but we would love it to bring it to more audiences, blah blah blah, right? Like, that's the thing that always happens. These developers are always quote unquote focused on something at one particular point, and then as soon as that point's over, then they're on to the next thing with the next platform, because they want to make as much money as they possibly can. It makes no sense from a third party standpoint unless they're paying you a bunch of money to keep it exclusive. There literally is no sense in doing that, right? There's no sense whatsoever. So eventually all that stuff ends up everywhere. I'll link it. You guys can check it out. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up. Crap gamer out.